Hi guys, welcome to the Clover Academy. We are going to integrate AWS DynamoDB with all CRUD operations like get, delete and put operation using Springboot 3.2 version. Let's get into the session guys. Thank you. Hi guys, welcome to the Clover Academy. We are going to integrate AWS DynamoDB with using Springboot 3.2 version. So AWS DynamoDB we have downloaded from our local and install it, and then we will connect that all and we will do the CRUD operations like put, delete and get call, all API calls. So we are going to create order object, just order ID and order total and item details. So this three APIs we are exposing and we are doing that, right? Let's get into the session guys. So I'm going to install install DynamoDB locally local local. If you give this install local, you will get this way. Install DynamoDB local, you will get this. So this link, it will go to AWS site, and where you can scroll down AWS DynamoDB local. So you can download the zip file and install it, and then you can run this command to run the jar. So I have already downloaded the jar like these locations, AWS DynamoDB. So these are the folder structure. So we can go to this folder, this directory, and then run the command cmd run as administrator and cd command. Okay, once we get into the directory, you can run this command java library, copy this and run this command. It will start the DynamoDB. Yeah, now DynamoDB started in our local, right? And then we are I have created a Spring Boot project using Spring Initializer. I added the dependency. So I have created the projects and imported. So these projects I have already done it. I am going to walk through this project how I have done the AWS DynamoDB AWS DynamoDB CRUD operations, right, using Springboot 3.2 version, right? So I'm just going to show the pom.xml. See, if you see the pom.xml, where the main dependency is AWS software Amazon AWS SDK DynamoDB enhanced to 2.12.0 version. This is a main dependency. All the others are common like Google JSON, and then we can use and then Spring Boot Starter Web. So the main difference is DynamoDB enhanced. So this is for DynamoDB connecting with the Spring Boot 3.2 version, right? And then I have created a AWS DynamoDB configuration class. So this configuration class, basically this will initiate the DynamoDB connection. So we have use enhanced client and then local host instead of this URL. I have given this complete URL, DynamoDB URL, AWS DynamoDB URL. I have given local because AWS is running on localhost 8000, right? That's why I given this region. We have to select which region DynamoDB is running. So local is not considering this, and then access key. These also we no need to consider because these things are not required for local, right? This is so when you are moving to cloud, so we have very limited changes, like only configuration changes are required. URL and keys needs to be changed. Other than that, the code changes, there will be no changes, right? We are deploying that and directly we can test that changes are we can test the changes. This is a configuration changes. So this endpoint, we are getting from the application or property. So 8081 is a port name, and then we have so connected, and then I have created a bean class item details. So this item details is holding the dynamo bean. This is a bean object, like entity we are annotating there, right? So we are binding with the DynamoDB table, right? So that's the reason at annotation DynamoDB bean, item ID, item name and quantity, right? And order details, if you go to order details, a normal view object, this will be getting from the mappings, like putting the item, right? You will retrieve from the postman. So that's the reason I'm asking this view object. And order info is a dynamo bean again. This will be stored to the DynamoDB table, DynamoDB, right? That's why the item details are stored. That's why DynamoDB bean. That's why we annotated with the DynamoDB bean. And here getter method we have to use DynamoDB partition key. So this is a primary key. Normally in relational database we will say partition key. So this is a partition key we are giving, right? Instead of primary key we are saying partition key. So we are using the partition key, right? So these things we have done it, and then we can go to the AWS desk controller I have written. So this logics, all the manipulation has to be in the database layer, but I just written everything in the controller since it's a demo, right? Desk controller, auto wire, DynamoDB configuration, and then log controller, and JSON is auto wired, and then place order is nothing but we are retrieving the order data from the postman, and then we are persisting into the DynamoDB, right? So object mapper, this is a JSON object mapper. We are converting the string, order detail string to order detail object, and then we are getting the connection object. We are getting the connection object, and then we are returning the DynamoDB client, and then set order details. This method we are passing the DynamoDB client object, and then order details. So order details, so we are creating like DynamoDB.table order info table object we created. In that we have to set that all the order details which you are receiving from the postman or UI, right? So this request basically is a payload. So this payload we are just setting that payload. This is the payload, so we have to retrieve the payload is coming from, for example, we can postman, this order ID and order type, order total, and item details. So this is a payload structure. So this payload structure are mapping here, and the order details request, and then it will assign to the order details object, and the order details object is passing here, and then we are going to DynamoDB client order is a table name, and then like document ID, document name, you can say document name, so no SQL, right? And then order info object we are setting, order info object is submitting the Dynamo bean, so we are setting the order to persist that, right? So we are setting that, and then order info table, the object order info table object, we put item method is we are putting that, so it will be stored. So now I'm going to run this API, place order API, I'm going to run this. So if I go there, 8081 port number, I'm going to start the application. Start the application. So here I'm going to place order, right? Place order. I'm going, before that I'm going to go to another console. I'm opening, running the DynamoDB queries. So to check that what are the tables are there, we can run this query, list tables endpoint. So this query we can fire it, it will tell how many tables are there. So these many tables are there in the database. So I'm using order info table, right? Order info table, I'm going to process the data. Before that you list out what are the data are there in order info table. Going here and then CLS, enter. Yeah, so there are order is there, order ID called, only one item is there, Cloud for Academy, right? Only one item. So this order count, and now I'm going to run this query. So place order Cloud for Academy, instead of Cloud Academy I will say my name Arivalagan. I'm saying men shirts and men shirts. So I'm giving 1000. I'm giving. So now I'm running it. So now order is placed. So order is placed, processing. Order is placed. So now so order is placed. I'm going to check in that DynamoDB. So CLS running DynamoDB, scan the table. So Arivalagan, see the order ID is Arivalagan is placed. So total, so if I click this, number of order total 2, right? So you can console, you can see that Arivalagan mentioned. So these data are persisted into the database, right? DynamoDB. So now I'm going to another method I'm going to write, another method written, that's called delete order ID method. This is in path parameters order ID. Here same thing, we are getting the DynamoDB object, connection object, and then once you get that Dynamo delete enhanced request, we have to create that. So key has to be the order ID, and then that order ID we have to build that. So this way we have to build. It's bit complex when I'm seeing, but we have to build one by one object, and then we have to build this object, complete object. Once we build it, and then DynamoDB client dot table name, and then delete item. So delete item method we have to call. Right here we put item, right? Either you have to delete item, and delete enhanced request. We have to give this as a request object. We have to pass that, and it will be deleted. Now I'm going to run this delete order ID. So go to Postman, delete, and then order ID. Order ID we can copy from the DynamoDB. Let's say Cloud Academy. So Cloud for Academy. So it's deleted. Now one more item is that item also I'm going to delete that. Already Arivalana. I'm going to delete that item as well. So Arivalana deleted. Right now I'm going to check in DynamoDB CLS DynamoDB scan. Yeah, 0 item. There are no items are there. It's because we have deleted. And we will create one more item so that we can create place order so that item created. No, not found. Sorry. Place order. Here, place order. Yeah, order is placed. Now one item is there. If you check that, one item will be there. Yeah, one item is there. That is that order is created. Right. So now I have written this. Delete is working. So now I'm going to show the get item, get order details. Here again pass order ID, and then we are giving DynamoDB client. We are getting the client object. We can go here and return the connection object, and then table object we have to create. Order info is the table name. We have to create table this way. Table, once we created the table, and then key has to be partition key. We have to use the key as the order ID. Create this object, and then this object order table dot get item we have to use. Put item, delete item, like the get item. And then get item enhanced request. We have to get item enhanced request we have to give. So enhanced request dot build request builder dot key order ID, and then it will convert it to the JSON object. Once you fetch the result, it will convert it to the object to string method. It will return, and then we can see that. Right. So this is a method to retrieve the details using order ID. Right. I'm going to run this method get ordered item details. So currently only one item is there. Order ID Arivalagan. I'm giving this ID. So one item will retrieve. See, it's retrieving that. You can run in the browser as well because the get method. So you can go here, run that. See, get method order ID is retrieving the item. So very high level. I have created first classes. I have created pom.xml. I enhanced API. These are the pom.xml main dependency I have added, and then I created the item details object DynamoDB to persist that. The order details is a value object, normal value object, and then order info object is a parent object, DynamoDB object. Inside item details will be there, and then we will create DynamoDB configuration. The configuration is nothing but we are initiating the connection, region, and the URL. Once we are given that, it will return the DynamoDB object, connection object, and then we have created a controller. I have created place order. This post method, and getting the payload object has body parameters, and then persisted into the DynamoDB. So like that we have delete and get details. So like that we have written, and we have tested all the APIs, right? So when we are moving to cloud, so we don't need any code changes, only the configuration changes we need to do. We need to change it, replacing with that, right? So thank you for watching and listening. We are looking forward to join our Cloud for Academy.